wanted to get out here early today. Good morning and welcome to Hiking with Kathleen. So we've had a freshly fallen snow, not even quite winter yet here in southwestern Ontario, and I'm following Coyote Tracks. Hope you join me today. To recognize Coyote Tracks, you see that one foot falls almost in direct line with the other. So they walk kind of in a straight line fashion. That's because they have a narrow chest. So one foot lands in front of the other, which is an easy way to distinguish them from dog footprints in the snow. Dogs tend to have a wider chest, so they walk with their feet one beside the other. So anyway, really cool. What we see here is that there's a couple of coyotes walking side by side, or one's right behind the other. But that's why we see two sets of tracks. The great thing about being out here right after the fall leaves fall to the ground and the first snow is you can see all the action in animals that are going on in the forest. So here's another set of tracks. These belong to a gray squirrel. Oftentimes, but not every time, those tracks lead to a tree. So you can see that they kind of form a box. The two front paws land side by side. The back paws land in front, side by side. So that gives you an idea of the direction. So they land on their front feet, and the back feet catch up. They spring off their back feet and land on their front feet. So that helps you to determine the direction of travel. I love being the first one out here. It's all undisturbed. It shows me what the animals were doing. And it's before any of the snow that's fallen on the tree branches have melted off yet. Today's high isn't going to be that warm. It's going to be probably close to 0. And I struck off for my hike when it was -3, feeling colder than that. And these are degrees Celsius. It's a beautiful morning for bringing you along with me on this very peaceful hike in the woods. Yeah, there's been a fair bit of coyote action out here on the trail. You can see crisscrossing tracks where they're on the trail, and then they head off to the sides. This is where the animals are hunting. So they're following their nose, and they're going through their territory to find small game, potentially large game, maybe white-tailed deer if they find a relatively easy one to catch. Usually coyotes hunt on their own. One animal hunts for its own meal. But if it's larger game, like white-tailed deer, it might be that a male and a female couple will hunt together. It might mean that if the pups are with them, by now they would be several months old because they would have been born in the spring. They might help to take down large game. But oftentimes they hunt for smaller game, rabbits, squirrels, meadow voles, whatever it is that's kind of easy to catch on the go. And so on this trail, I can now see there's another set of tracks, and it would be for Cottontail Rabbit. So see how they're a little different from the gray squirrel. Their feet don't land side by side. Their front feet kind of are usually staggered. So have a look. The hind feet are longer than the front paw print, and so the hind feet land side by side. But the front feet, oftentimes they'll be a little bit staggered. So I was pointing to the direction that the cottontail was traveling in. So it's traveling forward, ahead of us. Perhaps that's what the coyotes were following too, is their tracks. I see 2 sets of coyote tracks traveling in the same direction. In this image, you'll see an eastern cottontail. I just took it last night with a trail cam. Now I want you to watch how it moves away from perceived danger. Watch for it. Oh, now that's a striped skunk. So what we saw there is we saw one coyote where it was just walking at a little different pace so that its footprints were all separated, and then eventually it started moving in I think more of a trotting fashion, and where the footprints land pretty much like one in step with the other. Interesting that it veered off the trail here. I'm not exactly sure what kind of marking that was. It could have been maybe a female coyote squatting to urinate, because males would typically lift their leg and do it on some sort of a trail marker like a log or a rock or something, just like domestic dogs. So I don't know, maybe that's what that is. And it looks like a couple of coyote tracks that are merged here, so maybe one squatted and maybe the male urinated on top of that. That's the beautiful thing about this time of year, is I can see more clues that are left behind by animals. Sometimes you can find things like scat on a trail, like I showed you a couple of weeks ago. But you can't always see things because they don't stand out against the white background like they do in the snow. So this makes tracking a little bit easier, and just trying to observe behavior that has already happened. The animals aren't here to explain for themselves, so you kind of have to interpret what you think took place. What a difference a couple of days make. The beauty of the fresh fallen snow on a trail I was on about 3 days ago without the snow. So we're going to continue seeing what kind of tracking we can do with animals that live in this forest and leave behind their signs in the snow. Trail's very muddy. It's not that cold out. It's probably about -2 or so. And I think it's gone up to 0 today. but the trail is just wet with the snow. We had another couple of inches that fell overnight. But it sure makes it pretty down here. That unusual call is from a chickadee. Must have got his dialect from some other place. A beautiful winter wonderland. But it's a little mucky. After a few passes with others walking through here, it gets a little slippery and muddy, but that's how it goes. It's a beautiful place to hike. And right after a big snowfall, well, not really even a big snowfall, it makes it even more attractive.